Hey, how's it going, guys? Today's video, I'm going to talk about this gooseberry. It's a red variety. This particular one is called Poorman. And this is one of my favorites, actually. The berries actually get quite large on this red fruited cultivar. This is what they look like. Of course, there are smaller ones too on the bush, but on average, they're actually quite a bit larger than the Hanaki red. And the flavor is actually much better when compared to Hanaki red. I'll go over to the other bush in just a second to compare. But the flavor of this one is just really sweet and rich. Very nice gooseberry flavor with a pop to it. Very crispy, crunchy, and they do come with a good punch of acidity. A little bit more acidic than say like a fully ripe yellow kind of gooseberry. But if you pick them on a darker red side, like some of these, if you wait till they get this dark, then they get really sweet. Oh, that one has barely any acidity, so it just depends on what stage you like your berries. This bush was actually loaded like a lot. It's hard to see them because they're all hiding under the branches. This bush kind of grows in a weeping style, and it'll just go for like several feet. So this bush probably needs a specific type of trellising system. I didn't do anything to it, I just kind of let it sprawl. You can do this as well. Let's say, like, if you compare it to this, to like any normal gooseberry bush, they're usually smaller. This one grows like twice as fast as any other gooseberry that I know. So if you have like poor soil, or you're having trouble getting your gooseberries to get up to size to start fruiting, this was planted 2 years ago, and it's taken up like a 7-foot space here. So it did take off pretty quick. I might have planted it 3 years ago, but anyway, 2 to 3 years, you can get it to this size. Whereas this bush is probably twice as small, planted at the same time, same conditions. This variety, I can't remember, what was it called? That side was a reused tag. Lepared. So this one I probably wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend you guys plant this one, because if you compare the size to Poorman, all the berries are quite small. Those are Lepared 3 berries right there. The flavor is pretty good, probably not as good as Poorman, and the berries are just much smaller. So I probably wouldn't recommend this bush. Also, another one I wouldn't recommend flavor wise is this one. I don't remember what this variety is, so I have to reach in and read the tag. All I know is I'm not particularly fond of this flavor. Captivator. Captivator did not captivate my attention. Oh, it's also a red type of berry. It actually is quite large. This one looks like it's got some type of damage to it. Now it does seem like it's a later variety, and some of them actually do get quite large as well. If you compare it to the Poorman's, Captivator is maybe even larger, a little bit more elongated. It just lacks the flavor, I think. Maybe if I let it hang longer, but it might be a later variety too. So maybe I should hold my horses and not say anything bad about this quite yet. But let's go over to one of my other bushes. So this bush is a Hanaki red, and I didn't maintain it for the reason that it's no longer useful. I think in my landscape I have found better varieties like Poorman. Hinnomaki red is just a smaller berry, a little bit on the bitter side sometimes, and so I have decided to take it out eventually. I think I've taken videos of this earlier, and I did like the berry. I mean, if you don't have any gooseberry, this is a really good berry. It's just variable. Some years it's good, and some years it's a little bit bitter. That's what I don't like about it, the variability. One year when we had like an extreme heat, it just completely fried. So it's kind of very susceptible to stressful conditions. So the Hanaki red, also smaller than Poorman's. The bush is a little bit slower growing. Actually, this year the berries are really good, surprisingly. So yeah, sometimes I just need to change my opinion back and forth. But the Poorman is still a larger berry, just as good tasting, I think. And I think it's a heavier producer, the Poorman, versus this one. Heavier producer, faster growing, larger berry. So it's a really good berry, but I think the Poorman variety just beats it by size and speed of growth. Maybe, I suppose, if you had a very limited space and you don't want the Poorman taking over your space, but then you can plant this one. It's a little slower growing. But honestly, I'd still go with the Poorman. Just trellis it vertically, kind of like raspberries or something. Make it grow taller and pick larger berries right at eye level. I can't say anything bad about the taste of this one. Kind of let it overgrow here. Maybe I'll save one bush for me. But I really want to propagate the Poorman variety. I think that one is a keeper. So I actually went into the Poorman bush and I found some even larger berries. And then I came to the yellow variety that we've had growing here, and it's taken over by bindweed. I only found 2 little small berries. So those are the type of gooseberries that most people are used to, the greenish yellowish type. They do get large, they do get the same size as the Poorman, but they're just small this year because this morning glory bindweed has just taken over and it's suffocating the bushes. So I need to go through and I pull them out. I have landscaping tarp laid out, but it's still pushing through, and so it needs maintenance, and I'm not keeping up. This weed is terrible. It just takes over. It'll choke out trees, everything it can in its path. But the flavor of the yellow ones is actually really good also. They tend to get a lot more worms though than the Poorman variety. So I would say all in all, from the varieties of gooseberries that I grow, this Poorman red gooseberry is probably the best. It's my favorite. In terms of flavor, resistance to bugs, speed of growth, everything. I mean, because of the way it grows, it's so lengthy and viney, I could probably just trellis it up and have it grow tall and pick berries at like eye level with this Poorman variety. So I think I highly recommend this gooseberry for sure. I'm gonna go back to that bush, but right here I'm next to my Nikita's Gift Persimmon. This is outside in Zone 8, Northwest Washington. Has overwintered at least 5 times already. Planted this back in 2018. So 6 years ago I planted this thing. It's about 6 feet tall, 6.5 feet tall now, this tree. And it's producing Nikita's Gift Persimmons. This is Rusianka branch grafted to it. Also producing, the Rusianka never ripens, but the Nikita's Gift will ripen on a good year, I think. I have not tasted a really good Nikita's yet. First year they produced was the year before last, and they all dropped. Last year they hung on, and then we had a short season, and I didn't pick them in time. I tried to let them hang through the frost, but we had a frost too hard and it just killed them. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to this bush. All right, back to bush 1. This is the Poorman bush of gooseberries. And one thing I didn't mention also is I probably trimmed at least 30% off of this. It was like clear out to here. A lot of the branches were. Whoops. This had more growth on it that I had to remove because it just sprawled way out. So if you want a heavy grower, a fast grower, a gooseberry, plant this guy. Poorman gooseberry variety. It'll produce like crazy, super tasty berries. Pretty large. Large berries, red. They're good in all kinds of drinks, pies, cooking, fresh eating, probably a lot of health benefits as well. So if you're not growing gooseberries, I highly recommend it. They do have thorns, so they're a little bit difficult to pick, but I'd say it's an important berry to grow for sure in the landscape. If you have an edible landscape, you definitely need to grow a gooseberry, especially if you never tried one before. Like most Europeans have, but I know a lot of Americans have not even tried a gooseberry before, which is kind of sad. So get yourself a bush, grow it, and eat these healthy berries. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like my videos. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.